news was the previous government had destroyed this country for 16 years. You don't expect it to be done in 4 years. Let's give him another 4 years. Another 4 years, 8 years passed. Getting worse. They told you it's going to get worse before it gets better. Consistently, it's been getting worse. He finished his 8 years, just like that. 8 years of misery for Nigerians. Companies started getting out of this country. Yes, Nigeria's economy under Jonathan was the third fastest growing economy in the world, number 1 in Africa. Where are we today? Our numbers are not even reckoned with. The dollar was 150 naira and stayed that way for a long time, until before the election, when they were whipping up all the sentiments and people started pulling their dollars out of the country. And it went to 180. 180, 190, until Jonathan handed over power to your preferred candidate, who turned this nation backwards. Every gain we had made were reversed. Not because you helped bring him up. You know, there's this pride. People didn't want to admit that they made a mistake, so you just keep making the mistake and defending it. And guess what? One of his biggest promises was when he said he was going to fight corruption, and everybody were jumping up because those who were young, who didn't know what happened, were excited because they heard he jailed politicians. He jailed politicians in 1984. Now, what they did not know was that there was a man called Idi Agbon that was actually running the show. There was a man called Idiagon that was running the show. He was supposed to be his second in command, but he was practically the one running the show. The guy went on pilgrimage to Mecca, and the government was toppled. They couldn't have done it when the guy was there. And to prove he was a man and a soldier, that man came back into this country. He said, if I'm going to die, let me die in my country. Unlike Gowon that ran, this guy came back, submitted himself. Idiagbon was no coward. He ran the show. Guess what? For a government that prided itself as war against indiscipline, tough talking government, not a single shot brought that government, not a single shot. It was a palace coup. The guy just gave up. That coward, we were told, they told you fought corruption, they told you jailed politicians, and you were jumping up. Guess what? All these so-called corrupt politicians, what did they do? They left the defeated party and went to his own party. How many of them did you see in jail? Not one. All the corrupt politicians went to his party. Today, what we want people, that the government of Buhari was only out for one agenda: Islamization. And it's in the process. You can fool yourself, but like they say, if it quacks like a dog, moves like a dog, flies like a dog, it is a dog. But you know, we want to bury our heads in the sand like the ostrich, forgetting that our whole body is out there. And for those people who are defending what these people are doing. It's my prayer. I'm sorry I shouldn't be praying this, but I want you, maybe a member of your family that you love so much, be a victim of all of this. Maybe then you will understand. Maybe then you will understand the pains other people have been going through. A Khan president seemed to be carrying water for Boko Haram, telling us that they don't only kill Christians, they only kill Muslims, they also kill Muslims. First and foremost, what's the percentage of Muslims they kill? Now let me tell you something. Every organization, every force kills its own. Oh, you don't know? Go and ask those who are those that are fighting for Nnamdi Kanu. They even kill their own Igbo people. Why? They call them saboteurs. So if you see Boko Haram kill another Muslim, they regard them as infidels. Why? Because Muhammad himself did the same thing. So don't get fooled. These guys have told you, see them, they have their channels on YouTube. You can hear what they're saying, translated if you can't understand the language. And they open the Quran and they show you why they're doing what they're doing. They show you. And yet, the Khan president is holding water for them. When Christians are being killed in this country, Nigeria, you know, some of the pastors we have in these countries can sell their father and their mother. No, they've sold their fathers, and they can sell their mothers for money. And I'm sorry to say, that guy belongs in that category. He will sell. He has already sold his soul. Because if you're the leader of the Christian community in Nigeria, the Christian nation in Nigeria, and you carry water for Boko Haram against your brothers and sisters that are being slaughtered, then you're not different from the devil. Forget the cassock that you wear. see the reports. You know, the good thing about the internet today is that before now, we had those who were the gatekeepers of the news. Even though we still have the gatekeepers now, you know, in form of big tech. You know, they're gatekeepers. They most times remove some stories from their platforms. But majorly, you get the news unfiltered and uncensored. And so we see when the Boko Haram and these headsmen, they attack Christian communities, Christian dominated communities, with the help of their Muslim neighbors, with the help of their Muslim neighbors, and their houses are burned. Go to those places and check and see all the houses that are standing. They are houses of Muslims. The ones that were burnt up are the houses of Christians. They had to be placed in IDP camps, internally displaced persons. You know, we have these fancy words for it. When you say IDP camp, it sounds very touched. But we have a government that won't even build roads that are dead trapped, and people get killed every day. You think the Muslim government would care about some Christians that escaped? Many people don't understand, and you will not understand this thing except you have the information. For example, how many of you watching right now realize that at a point I went off beat? How many of you knew? Now, a musician that is probably there, a seasoned musician, not just anyone, would have seen it and said, oh, this guy went off beat or skipped a beat. And that is how it is. So these guys, they know how to paparazzi you. And that's what the news does all the time. When they tell you things to divert your attention from the real things. They told us corruption was the reason. I remember once on television one time, and somebody was saying that all these guys that have been recruited to be Boko Haram and the rest, they are all doing it because they are poor, they don't have food to eat. And I asked them, Osama bin Laden, the bin Laden family is a billionaire family. They're billionaires. So he was a billionaire son of billionaires, and he's got billions. he was in the CIA somehow. If it was hunger that moved him, why did he join Al-Qaeda? Or why did he form Al-Qaeda? You must understand it goes beyond economy. Let me drink some water. Please don't look at me with judgmental eyes. We all take things that are harmful to our health, so I'm not the only one. Many of us will, when we look at the signs of the times, we know that the rapture will happen in a moment from now. The rapture will speak you rapturing? Are you rapturing? To do TikTok verification. I don't get it. Do it again. Still didn't get it. I think I got it now. Until I come your way, in my embrace. Pastor Dafe, and this is my live music from the Temple Bar. I'll see you in a few hours' time. God bless you.